the gateway to and from the continent. 1/6 of UK trade comes through the port of Dover. 100 miles of lorries by length every single day, rolling off and rolling on the ferries on the Short Straits crossing and straight on to the UK high-speed road network. Left for the A2, right for the A20, and being in the same single market and customs union means that the customs facility in the middle is tiny, just 3 lorries from an entire ferry checked. But an internal Brexit impact report obtained by Sky News from Dover District Council, the health authority here, suggests that this free flow can't last.
It's one thing that there appears to be very little changing here at Dover Port. It's another to obtain this internal report that shows a council, a port health authority, with its head in its hands over central government foot dragging over the Brexit negotiations and key decisions. Indeed, if you look at the detail of this report, it shows pretty clearly that at this key artery of UK-European trade, there appears to be no chance of making the changes necessary for a no-deal Brexit in just 8 months' time.
There's been a lot of focus on customs checks or not, but it's the necessary changes to food safety checks that are a particular concern. The document questions whether it is fully understood by government that the Port's Health Authority will not have powers to physically stop vehicles, in the large are blind as to what is entering the port, and that the layout of the port means there is nothing to stop vehicles leaving, and that there are inadequate facilities to inspect and store food, and no facilities to park vehicles waiting for examination. The report questions exactly whether such checks will have to take place in England or in France. Current systems are based on juxtaposed controls being conducted in France and England. Once outside the EU, such controls may cease. Earlier this year, Sky News revealed that the government had signed gagging clauses with some companies indicating that such checks will simply not be applied coming into the UK in a no-deal situation. But it's the other side of the channel that's the biggest problem, according to local companies here.
The EU could decide, actually, here's the rule book and this applies to you. It could be that, every vehicle going into Europe is going to have checks.
And that's the queue on the M20 and the A2 is into Europe.
Yeah, that's
so
coming
even
through.
if they say we're not going to check anything, that's about the queue in Calais.
Yeah, that's coming in.
That's coming in. So
yeah.
The queue here is about whether or not Europe enforces its own laws, which it says it will do.
Yeah. If it enforces its laws, then actually lorries will have to be checked.
And checks mean not just queues, but entire sections of the M20 motorway in Kent, newly repurposed.
Imagine this, the government plan is to turn all of that stretch of motorway going to the coast, all the lanes, into a giant 13-mile lorry park for thousands of lorries. And on this side of the motorway, a kind of mini motorway contraflow system to cope with normal traffic. And the local businesses that have been consulted say it will take days or weeks to set this system up rather than hours for the current traffic mitigation measures, and there can only really be one use for that.
At the Highways England consultation in Canterbury on turning Britain's main road link to the continent into a lorry park, it is a case of don't mention Brexit.
But there are also times of extraordinary traffic congestion caused by periods of cross-channel disruption.
But borders are mentioned, and Operation Brock is being primed as an interim solution for use in the weeks ahead of Brexit Day from March 2019. But for how long? The Dover Council document suggests not a few weeks or months, but years. The report says that the permanent solution will not be in place for many years. Therefore, the temporary traffic management system, Operation Brock, will be in force for some time.
Both of those things can't be true. It can't be successful, and we need this huge 13-mile traffic kind of pile-up and disaster that they're supposedly planning for. So which is it? And I've got alarm bells ringing, and I'm sure the Port of Dover and all the small businesses along that route have as well.
This is a direct sale to Sweden. The finished transmission is sent to Turkey. More engine components. The customer for that is in Holland.
This family-run manufacturer in Kent sees free-flowing, frictionless European trade at risk.
If we do end up with border checks, we know from experience 3 years ago how a relatively minor problem absolutely jammed up the roads around Ashford and around Kent. So I am extremely worried that we might find that the road network just becomes paralysed and we can't get goods in, we can't get goods out. I'm begging the government to make a decision and make it quick. In business, making no decision paralyses a business. In politics, it seems to keep you in power.
The Garden of England has always been the gateway to Europe too. Here, they're now having to plan for what happens should that gate be wedged shut. Faisal Islam, Sky News.